So I was in a relationship for almost 7 months with a girl. She was really great, cute, nice, and smart, but she lacked self-esteem and had been pretty insecure all her life, and I was her very first boyfriend. My girlfriend had a hard time with boys all her life. No boy ever showed interest in her, which means that her only vision of boys, her only knowledge of boys came from those romance books she used to read a lot and from Korean dramas. And that ruined our relationship. One day, I went to pick my girlfriend up from work. She works in a clothing store. In the car, she started telling me about her day, like usual. Then out of nowhere, she tells me, "Oh, by the way, I saw the most handsome man of my life at work today." I raised my eyebrows to show surprise, but she did not notice and continued, "Yeah, he came and asked for my manager, but he was so handsome and tall that I couldn't even talk to answer, so my coworker took care of him. And then I stayed in a corner of the shop looking at him because I felt interested in him. And guess what? My manager came to me a few minutes later and told me, 'Hey, the man who just came is from our company. He will be your mentor for a few days to teach you the job a little more.'" At this point I was just silently driving. I didn't know what to say. And seeing that I wasn't giving any reaction, my girlfriend insisted, "Did you hear? The handsome man will be my mentor." I answered, "Well, I hope he teaches you well." "It will, and maybe he will also teach me how to love." I really thought he was handsome. I didn't reply. We then arrived at her place and she got out of the car, but I didn't. Seeing me stay, she asked what was wrong. I then told her, word for word, "Listen, have fun at work with your handsome mentor, but you and I are done. Forget me. Bye." And I immediately left without letting her respond. I know it's immature, cowardly, and stupid to leave someone like that, but still I really felt it was a huge lack of respect. It's been 2 days since then, and she's been sending me voice messages while crying, and it's in these messages that I learn the truth. A man did come to her work to ask for her manager, but he wasn't her mentor, just a customer. But since my girlfriend is used to these romance books, she imagined this entire situation. According to her, she told me this story to make me jealous because, in these books, this kind of situation often happens and makes the boyfriend jealous, which supposedly shows he cares about the girl with a healthy possessiveness. She even dared to tell me she never thought I'd believe her story about the mentor was real, let alone take it badly. She was bold enough to tell me a book lover or a writer would have understood that my story was just a story, not real life. Seriously, who would have understood it? I swear I wrote our conversation the exact way it happened. Who in the world would have got it was just a story, a fake story? And even if it is, she still had those words about a man to me. And even if in reality he was just a random customer, it is a tremendous lack of respect in my opinion. She's begged me 100 times to forgive her and come back, saying this whole story was just a silly mistake because of her love for books and dramas. I won't get back with this girl, that's out of the question, but I'd like to know your opinion on this, whether this has happened to anyone before, and if you think I overreacted. What do you think about? Here are some popular comments.
She's too immature to be in a relationship. I don't know how you could be with her knowing that she's capable of thinking like this. It's ridiculous. You can't have a real relationship with someone at this intellectual and maturity level.
I'm a romance reader, and never in a million years would I do or say this. It's very strange behavior.
She's stupid, LMAO. Why would you ever want to even say that? And then for her to think that you wouldn't believe her when you aren't into the same shit that she is. Like, if I heard that, I would ultimately think shitty of that, GF. How can you fake something and act like it's real? She childish.
How would he teach her how to love unless she cheated? She's going to have to imagine herself a BF if she does delusional shit like this. It's pretty ridiculous and definitely disrespectful. Why would you assume she's just lying for no reason like she actually was? Most people don't try to manipulate their partners with fantasy scenarios, I would hope. I can't believe it was 7 months with her first BF and she decided to blow up her relationship over something so stupid.
She needs serious help. She can't separate fiction from reality.
She is living in La La Land. I can only wonder what other scenarios she would pull in the future to try to recreate something she read in one of her novels. Of course, you could always give her 50 Shades of Grey to read and see where that goes.
However, don't demonize romance books. Your ex is just an idiot.
You absolutely do not want to be in a relationship with someone so immature that they cannot tell real life norms from fictional ones. She sounds the sort of idiot who would constantly try boyfriend tests she saw on TikTok.
So, she told you that to make you jealous, but she also never thought you'd believe it. If you wouldn't believe it, why would you get jealous? Hopefully, she learns something from this and grows up a little before she gets into another relationship.
Any young, immature girl would know what she was doing, but she's slow. Those books are porno for women. She's never going to find anyone to satisfy her if she thinks men are anywhere close to being like that.
Okay, so back in the day, I was ignored by boys and also read a lot of romance novels, so I can relate a bit to her background. Your ex is you nothing. The romance books are not what ruined your relationship. It was your ex's immaturity and manipulativeness.
Oof, hopefully she'll learn her lesson. Do you want to be the person who has to put up with this until she does? There's wanting romance and being upfront with your partner about your expectations around dates or words of affirmation or whatever. It's another thing for a person to expect the world to align to a drama in their head. Relationships take communication and work when they aren't someone trying to emotionally dungeon master reality.
She tried to make you jealous with the guy at work. Ah, a classic. Complete lack of respect, and the way she went about it was very odd, actually.
I say that as someone who likes romance books myself. If it happened in a book, it would obviously be fake because everything that happens in a book is fake and made up. Her line between how people act in books versus reality seems skewed. In reality, why would she assume you'd think she's lying? Why would she think it's okay to make up a whole story about how she wanted to cheat on you or something? I'm not following her logic. Honestly, this whole story sounds so ridiculous, it's hard to believe it's real. But there are crazy people out there, so who knows?
This child is too immature for a relationship. Stick to your decision. The girl is Delulu. Hopefully, she'll learn a lesson about not playing games.
Am I the only one who thinks this is fake? The hoe begged me 100 times to forgive her and come back, saying this whole story was just a silly mistake because of her love for books and dramas. LMAO. Silly mistake. Love for books and dramas. I'm thinking OP doesn't like those K-drama and spicy novels, LOL.
This is so bizarre. She must be really young, really immature, or not mentally well.
She is very dumb. What was the goal? To make you jealous and mad that your girlfriend was seemingly obsessed with another man? Teach her how to love. How does she think you were supposed to interpret that? And as an avid book reader, although not romance, I have no idea what she wanted to happen. I guess she wanted to feel like a main character in a story that has men fighting over her. It's wild, man. Not overreacting.
Run away, bro. Who knows what else she will make up?
Youth is hard. I hope you both have a lovely future in the real world.
I'm completely obsessed with an attractive guy that came into work. I'll be seeing him constantly and hope to date him. And she assumed you'd work harder to keep her after that.
She's 19 and inexperienced, so she may grow up and out of this nonsense. A need to test your partner by making them peel an orange or get jealous is toxic AF. Block her. And don't Ari.
Rule: if your lady or man really digs a genre of book or show, watch or read it on your own or together. Doesn't mean you have to discuss it if you don't dig it, but it will offer you perspective into their mind/fantasies, etc.
Me, she's a right thicko for doing this, keeping moving away from her.
Was she homeschooled, love under a rock her whole life? What is wrong with this girl?
I am both a book lover and a writer, and I would not automatically assume she was telling a fake story. That is so bizarre.
I really have nothing else to say because I'm drunk loud, but the fact she thought that was okay is insane, and I'm a 21-yo woman myself. It doesn't sound like a story at all. She sounds like she's trying to upset you or piss you off. Like, I can't even imagine saying that to my boyfriend. She's nuts. I'm glad you decided she will never get a second chance. Hopefully she'll learn from her mistakes and not make them moving forwards with new partners.
Holy fuck. Run like the wind.
This sounds like borderline delusion. Who's to say she doesn't make herself believe these daydreams are real?
She lied to you and attempted to manipulate you. Loving relationships don't do that, regardless of what books or shows say.
No mentally sane or halfway intelligent person of 19 years old would ever do that. I'd say you dodged a bullet. Good riddance to her. Like, you can try to make up stories when you are 9 and tell your friends and see how well that turns out. But at 19,
I think you made the right choice, and I hope she takes as a lesson. I also love a trashy romance novel from time to time, but you got to be able to tell real life from fantasy. Those books are written to keep a captive audience full of drama and chaos and passion, but they in no way should resemble your real life.
as a huge reader and romance enjoyer, I think something extremely important to acknowledge when it comes to these books and stories, and that they aren't supposed to be accurate depictions of a healthy relationship. They're supposed to fulfill a fantasy. There is no such thing as a healthy possessiveness because people aren't objects to own. You can definitely have jealousy and stuff play a part in your sex life if you extensively discuss it, which she obviously did not. Anyways, let this be a lesson to her. Don't believe everything you read.
Lover of all things romance, literature, and media, including K-dramas here. And NGL, in the first bit of your story, I was leaning overreaction. Incompatible, BCTBH. I have appreciated attractive people in front of with my husband, or told him about some wildly pretty person I encountered while we were apart. It's my husband does this too. It's not a boundary in our relationship, as we have solid trust, and no, it doesn't diminish how we see each other. I get that not everyone shares that view or trust in their SO, hence that's where the incompatibility judgment came in. But oh boy, that took a hard left off a cliff, and I am sorry for doubting you, my guy. She made up some janky plot that sounds like it came out of one of those B-grade real C-drama ads that I scroll past on FB to make you prove your love through jealous possessiveness, which isn't healthy, no matter the amount, and play mind games. Maybe he'll teach me to love. Literally sounds like intention to cheat. If my husband or I were to say this seriously when talking about aforementioned pretty people, that would be endgame right there. Any relatively grounded individual who consumes these forms of media knows they are not healthy representations of romance and relationships. We can joke about goals or wanting to bring certain aspects, themes into the relationship, but 99% of the love interests in most modern romance, especially Asian dramas, are toxic Fs. And any person with homegirl needs some therapy to dismantle this before she gets hurt by someone who gives her what she wants. BC, a lot of book drama boyfriend behavior is a slippery slope to abuse in reality.
Yeah, as a romance reader lifelong, this is not a real thing. You are not overreacting. This is bad shit.
The woman you are describing sounds highly neurodivergent and almost certainly on the spectrum. She is missing social cues, like not understanding why she shouldn't say those types of things to her boyfriend.
I'm fucking dying laughing reading this. I miss my teens and early 20s so much. Thank you, OP. That was a great read. No, you are not overreacting.
People love games and relationships.
See, I read books and watch K-dramas, but at least I have enough common sense to tell the difference between fiction and reality. Honestly, the fact that she thought it was totally fine to say that is just bizarre.
The amount of K-dramas I've seen, the biggest chick flicks too, and I have never, ever seen this. Yeah, they have the jealous tropes, but that's not when they're in a relationship.
I read romance books and watch Korean drama and would have never did nothing like this, lol. I think the fact that she's never had a boyfriend plays a big part into this. I hope you explained to her why that wasn't appropriate of her to do so she knows better. Seems like she doesn't understand how relationships work in real life, and that's okay. Life is about trial and error. You did a great job by breaking it off with her and protecting your peace.
I've read a lot of smut since early adulthood and have never once tried to translate it to my real life relationships. It's basically like guys believing their bedroom life will be like a porn vid. Both are very unrealistic, and most people understand that.
Yeah, you definitely didn't overreact. Not only is it disrespectful to test you like that, it's also just really strange. I was a single child who was also very sheltered and grew up spending more time watching and reading stuff than with IRL people, and I didn't have this level of delusion. But maybe it's because I read more fantasy than romance novels, lol. But as some have said, I'm a bit worried about her mentally. The girl you fell in love with is probably made up too, in a sense.
I took the time to read your whole story, which is extraordinary on its own because most stories are too ludicrous to read whole. But in this case, I couldn't help finishing your story. This girl seems almost unreal. Who on earth would come up with those stories to check if her partner is caring enough to become jealous? Jealousy alone is a very unhealthy emotion in any case, no matter how many people say that a little jealousy is good for a relationship. It's a cancer that can make the friendliest people become over-emotional toddlers and can only amount to serious problems and abuse. That was my first reaction, but as I was thinking your whole predicament over, I couldn't help but feel that you might have overreacted by ending the relationship right then and there. You already told us that you were her very first boyfriend, which should have implied that she has zero experience with love and feelings. Maybe it would have been better if you would have prodded her more about the situation, because deep down you must have realized that this story had to be too ludicrous to be true. So perhaps you should have confronted her with the question that if she realized what she was saying and that this would mean the relationship would be over. Now, I admit I really do understand your reaction, and I do understand how this must have landed with you at that moment. I have always been clear to all my girlfriends, with the exception perhaps of my first ever serious girlfriend, that if they wish to be with another man, that they shouldn't let the door hit their ass on their way out. But I really feel, and correct me if I am wrong, that she really just made a very stupid mistake because of the reason that her only relationship experience came from, obviously, books that have absolutely zero base in real life. If I may be so bold, I would advise you not to cut her off completely and just talk with her. Everyone is allowed to make a mistake, even a dumbass mistake like hers, but being able to forgive is also important in a successful relationship. Just remember, in every relationship, there are hard, rainy times. Those are the times that your relationship can actually grow to a much more profound strength. In any case, I wish you the best and lots of wisdom. Jealousy has never made anyone happen, and you really should make her understand that. And perhaps you two can come out of this unreal situation and be much closer and stronger together. Good luck. Greets from Just a Guy from the Netherlands.
She sounds much more immature than the average 19-year-old. I'm a romance reader, but even at 19, I would never have done something this stupid to my BF. You're definitely better off without someone this emotionally immature and ridiculous.
I know it's immature, cowardly, and stupid to leave someone like that. Yea, it was. And you are maybe passing up a great thing, I know from experience. As a result of believing so many, get rid of her, she's immature, no character, dude. Reflex social media comments. Eons ago, when I was 20, I had a GF who was 19, who really wanted me more than I knew, but who was afraid to tell me for fear that I'd reject her. That's not being immature, that's called being 19 with your first boyfriend. In fact, it is far too many women and men of all ages. Just read around Reddit some. So she decided to make me jealous by making up stories that she was seeing other guys, all in a very ham-handed amateur manner, as she had no experience with other guys. Not at all unlike how your girl was ham-handed trying to make you jealous. I told her, come here, don't be afraid of me, tell me the truth. And she did, confessing all. And I told her I was touched that she cared for me so much. Then she really loved me, and I became the guy to teach her all about love and life, which was exactly what she asked me to do. It was a great year after that. How often do you get a woman dedicated to you that way? So right now you are in the exact same situation with a girl who is really great, cute, nice, and smart, whose only fault is you are her first boyfriend, and so she was afraid to say out loud how much she cared for you because you might reject her. And you are rejecting her. Her fault was not romance books. It was being afraid to honestly tell you her true feelings. Now she is telling you her true feelings and you are kicking her in the teeth. Dude, if you believe romance books ruined your relationship, you are as clueless as she was. As quickly as snapping your fingers, you could have had a better relationship than ever just by being a confident, forgiving, caring, loving, teaching, high quality type guy, as she clearly imagined you to be. Well, she imagined wrong, eh? You could at least be magnanimous and kind to a woman in pain because she cares for you so much. And you could still get this really great, cute, nice, and smart girl back on your own terms, should you decide to be both kind and caring. When will you next have that opportunity with someone? But if you insist on spiting her because she hurt your manly feelings due to her fear and naivete, boo-hoo for you. After she gets more experience, she may look back someday at you and say, I ducked a bullet there. And she may be right.
So you absolutely overreacted in terms of how you handled it. Being respectful is important for both of you. Go read Fight Right by Gottman for your next relationship. Also, I obviously think she needs to do a lot of maturing, but in your own ways, you do as well. I promise you that book will help you as a man. It's not just for women or anything.
But I could tell this story was a lie to make you jealous in the first lines. She wanted you to be a little more passionate about her, but didn't know how to ask. And I can understand her. When I was 19, I didn't know either what I wanted from relationships and how to communicate what I wanted. Unfortunately, she chose a poor and kind of crazy way to tell you that she wanted more from you.
This is so funny. How do relationships even work these days? You clearly know that your girlfriend or ex is someone who has clearly no experience with the opposite gender. And I know most girls that are 19 wouldn't act like this, but being who she is, someone who doesn't have a clue about how relationships work in real life, why didn't you stop to think, maybe she really didn't think she was doing any harm? I'm telling you, man, don't lose someone you could have been a little more patient with and also communicated to about how you didn't like her approach. Maybe you're thinking you have options out there. Well, you might, but if you really like her, why can't you be patient with her? Or has this happened before? In my opinion, this is something that can be discussed between the two of you. Don't just discard someone like that.
I have to be honest. This event would rate a 0.02 out of 10 of fucked up things someone could do. Give her another chance, man. She's clearly just sheltered. I actually kind of think it's endearing in a weird way. She wanted to make you jealous. It's silly, but it happens. If you love her, like you say, forgive her. Unless you really don't love her.
Yes, you're overreacting. I can totally see how that made you upset and how the books she's reading are skewing her vision of how to behave in a relationship. But you dumped her because of it without even having a conversation about it? Without you explaining to her why it was wrong and why it upset you? Without giving her a chance to reflect on it and improve? You're both young. I honestly think she was just genuinely unaware of the impact she'd have. You can tell by her reaction. You need to get better at communicating your feeling and setting clear but healthy boundaries so each of you or a future partner knows what is expected of the other.